Who's that behind the mask? It's the narcissist. But before I start the video today, I'd just like to thank anybody that's watched my channel, subscribed to it, liked it and shared it. It means so much to me as I am on a journey away from a covert narcissist. And I just thought I might not get any views, but I just wanted to do this. So thank you very much indeed for anybody that's liked, subscribed or shared. Now the video. Who's that behind the mask? Well, it's definitely a narcissistic person. And my covert narcissist, when I first married her, she had a big mask on. But it didn't take long for the mask to start slipping. And eventually, obviously with all narcissistic people, the mask drops off. And you see a completely different person when you're in the devaluation stage to what you saw when you first met that covert narcissist. This person is a demonic character, mentally challenged and full of toxic verbal abuse and an energy-sucking vampire. These people are so toxic, it's incredible. I had never met a covert narcissist, I'd never lived with a covert narcissist until I met my covert narcissist. So I didn't really know a lot about a narcissistic person. And like everybody else, you have to do your research to find out about these people. But after I married the covert narcissist, I can assure you now that this mask was slipping. It was probably slipping towards the end of the love bombing phase, but it was definitely slipping into the devaluation stage. And it's easy to spot, but you're not quite sure at the time what's happening. Is the person having a bad day? Has something happened at work? All the excuses that you make. And at the end of the day, this is the real person. It's pretty scary because the first time I saw the mask slipping with my covert narcissist was when she had a massive rage fit over something very, very tiny. And I just sat there and thought, wow, that's a complete over-exaggeration. What's just happened, really? Tried to speak to her, but she was having none of it. And I just sat there and thought, that's not normal. There's something not right. So I obviously carried on in the marriage. And every now and again, these rage fits come out. Then the verbal abuse comes out. So you know you've got a problem. I tried to challenge her on the verbal abuse. I got nowhere with that. I got nowhere with rage fit. So I knew that this marriage was going to be either difficult, hard, or it just wasn't going to work. It's as simple as that. These people are mentally challenged and they enjoy doing what they do to you. That's part of their repertoire. That's part of where they get the supply from. They are demonic people who don't live in the real world and try and exist alongside normal people and try and intermingle into life as though they are normal. But behind the scenes, I saw an horrendous person, and this mask was falling a lot. It was slipping off, falling down, cracking on the floor. It was definitely appearing that this person that was behind the mask was a narcissist. It did take me a little bit and a bit of research, a bit of time to realise that I had married a covert narcissist. But the mask does slip on a regular basis in the devaluation stage until you get to a stage like I did in the marriage where it basically just came off. And this was from the middle towards the end of the marriage. And the mask would just fully come off. And I don't even think the covert narcissist even bothered that I knew what was happening towards the end of the marriage. I think she'd realised that I was definitely wanting to get out. And I think she just chucked everything at it and just thought, well, if he's going, I'm just going to give him the lot. but it was toxic, abusive, it was demonic, it was absolutely unbelievable the amount of times that the rage fits were happening. These rage fits are absolutely scary sights. When you see those black glazed eyes staring at you, you stand there and think, what is going to happen now? And that, in its own way, that makes it a scary place to be. And I'm sure when they do these rage fits, I am absolutely convinced that they enjoy seeing the look on your face, because it's probably a look of startled, frightened, not sure what's happening. All different emotions go through your head in quite a few seconds. And I am 100% sure that they enjoy looking at you, watching what's happening. That is part of how they get their supply of you. So it's cruel. It's also, it comes across as being aggressive, along with the toxic abuse as well. And for anybody to be able to live behind a mask and then just rip it off as and when they want to, after taking marriage vows, that to me is a complete sham of a marriage. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but I could not marry somebody knowing I was going to do to them what the covert narcissist did to me. It was toxic, demonic, it was cruel, it was wicked, it was everything that you could think on in a really, really evil person. That's the type of person that was doing these things to you. The verbal abuse, the toxic abuse, everything was coming out. And I was just stood staring at this person, the covert narcissist, thinking, what on earth is this person? Who are they? Because I've never seen this before. It was absolutely scary. So this is what happens when the mask slips with a covert narcissist. It was obviously slipping towards the end of the first stage of the love bombing, or the latter stages of the love bombing. But you don't realise sometimes, and you just get little snippets of it. So it's obviously appearing, but the more that you think back once you've got out, you realise that it was probably slipping a little bit more than what you thought. And I think they do things just to test you, to see what your reaction is. Because my covert narcissist that I married, most of the things that she did before I got a rage fit, silent treatment, or verbal abuse, I thought, I just thought that they do things to you and they want to see what reaction they get back from you. And I think then they know either which way to take it and which way to push it, which is cruel, really, because you've got another person sat there that ain't got a clue what's going on. And then you've got this nutcase that's sat across from you that just launches verbal abuse and rage fits as and when they feel like it. And it's absolutely unbelievable. And you do sit there some days and you just think, how have I got here? How have I got involved in this? What's happening? I'm the only person that stayed the same in the marriage. And this covert narcissist that I'm looking at across, she's completely gone from this fake persona, or the false self, of happy-go-lucky, really nice, couldn't do enough for you, smiley, and then all of a sudden, she's turned into this demonic, toxic, devilish, evil character. And you just think, wow, where's all that come from? And you just don't understand how you've got to where you've got to. But this is what happens when these people wear masks. That's the reason why they're so successful with people outside, because all what you get is a false persona and a false self. And everybody thinks, oh, she's amazing, she's great. Oh, aren't you lucky to have her? She's such a nice person. And then behind closed doors, the devil comes out. And I used to say to some people, she's the angel of the street and the devil in the house. And some people used to look at me strange, and I used to think, if only you knew what was going on behind closed doors. I've got a nutcase that gives me verbal abuse, that rage fits me, gives me silent treatment, gaslights me, and everything in their playbook that comes out, and you've got this nutter walking around your house, and you just think, wow, I've got to get out of here. It's absolutely crazy. But in the meantime, you're actually suffering because it's you the person that's taking all the crap off this toxic, cruel, evil person. And you're the person that's got to sit there and think, right, I need to plan to get out here. Then when you start doing your research, they tell you, just be careful when you're getting out. Don't try and leave when they're there because it can be dangerous, which I appreciate it is. These people are dangerous, very dangerous. The covert narcissist is an absolute monster that's evil and is very, very dangerous. So you've got to plan an escape from somebody that you married. And it just seems so surreal. It seems like you're in the middle of a film. Well, you are. You're in the middle of a narcissistic film that they're producing, that they're controlling, and you've just got to sit there and work a plan out. It's horrendous that the person that's not doing anything wrong has to sit there and work out how they can get away from somebody that's a complete nutter, absolute nutcase. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.